You walk through a crowded street, the noise pressing against your ears like invisible walls. People brush past you, laughing, arguing, living, yet you feel separated, as though a thin, fragile veil separates your inner world from the reality around you. On the surface, you appear composed, smiling politely, answering questions, nodding along, but inside, a storm quietly rages. The storm is made not of dramatic events, but of quiet, persistent echoes. Words left unsaid, moments of rejection remembered, small betrayals you still carry, tiny embarrassments you replay in your mind like a worn-out film. You are burdened by invisible wounds, scars no one else can see. And yet, you convince yourself that if you ignore them long enough, if you keep moving, they will fade. Most people believe healing is about forgetting, about suppressing or distracting themselves from pain. They believe strength is found in stoicism, in pushing forward, in pretending that nothing inside is broken. There is a cultural promise whispered everywhere. Keep your feelings in check. Don't let anyone see your cracks. Real strength is perfection, unshakable composure, control. But life has a way of proving this illusion wrong. The wounds do not disappear. They do not vanish quietly when ignored. They shape your thoughts, your actions, the way you approach relationships, love, ambition, and even joy itself. What you think is weakness is actually a plea for attention from your deeper self. Imagine a wound like a river beneath a frozen surface. From above, the ice appears solid and stable, unbroken. Yet underneath, water flows, persistent and powerful, carving channels, shaping the rocks, forcing change silently over time. This is how unhealed emotions work. They are alive, moving, insisting on recognition. The longer they are ignored, the more forcefully they shape you, often in ways you cannot name. Every reaction, every defensive posture, every moment of self-doubt is a trace of that invisible river. Psychologically, the mind often seeks safety in avoidance. Carl Jung would call it the shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny or hide because they feel dangerous, shameful, or unacceptable. Yet the shadow is not the enemy. It is a repository of truth. Every fear, every pang of unresolved grief, every impulse we resist is a message from our deeper self, calling for awareness. The tragedy lies in misunderstanding strength, thinking that to survive we must bury our wounds, when in truth, facing them carefully and consciously is the very act that cultivates resilience. Nietzsche's words echo here, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. Yet these words are often misread as a call to endure suffering passively, to grit one's teeth and hide all vulnerability. The deeper truth is subtler. Strength does not come from ignoring the fracture. It comes from understanding it, integrating it, and allowing it to teach you how to navigate life more fully. Emotional pain, when approached with courage and awareness, becomes a teacher. The lessons it imparts are hidden in the discomfort, patterns of avoidance, relationships repeated, habits born of fear. To ignore these lessons is to remain captive to the very wounds you wish to heal. Cinematically, consider the image of a room filled with light streaming through dust particles. Every beam illuminates what was once hidden, revealing contours, textures, imperfections. Emotional healing works similarly. When you begin to shine conscious attention on your pain, what was previously invisible becomes known, and in that knowing, transformation begins. It is not dramatic or loud. It is quiet, intimate, and often unsettling. And yet, there is hope even in this tension. The same wounds that make life feel heavy can become sources of profound insight. The same scars that remind you of failure, rejection, or grief can become reminders of resilience, endurance, and the human capacity for growth. The question is not whether the wounds exist, they do, but whether you are willing to meet them without flinching, without surrendering your inner strength. As the crowd moves around you, you begin to notice something subtle. The weight of your inner storm is not permanent. It can be acknowledged, felt, and respected without losing yourself. Strength does not require armor so thick that it cuts you off from the world. It requires awareness, courage, and a willingness to sit with your own pain. To heal emotionally without losing inner strength is not to become invulnerable. It is to become conscious, present, and alive in a way that transforms suffering into wisdom. And in that quiet realization, the first thread of a journey begins. The journey is not away from pain, but through it. It asks for patience, for self-compassion, and for a willingness to confront truths long denied. You take a breath and feel, for the first time in a long while, that perhaps you do not have to hide. Perhaps you can carry your wounds and your strength together, without losing either. Perhaps the path forward is not about denial, but about integration. What if the very wounds you fear revealing are the gateways to the strength you've been seeking? The moment you acknowledge your wounds, you enter a landscape both familiar and alien. It is familiar because the pain has been with you for as long as memory allows. It is alien because for years you have avoided looking directly at it, preferring distraction, denial, or control. Emotional wounds are paradoxical. They are both part of you and something you wish were not. They live in quiet corners of the mind, in reflexive reactions, in fleeting moments of inexplicable anger, sadness, or anxiety. They are like ghosts, invisible yet undeniably present, shaping your life in ways you often fail to recognize. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the part of ourselves that is rejected, repressed, or denied. It carries everything we are taught to suppress: grief, envy, fear, shame, longing, and the impulses society labels as weak or unacceptable. The shadow is not a moral failing. It is a repository of truth, a mirror to the aspects of ourselves we are afraid to see. Every time we act from fear, every time we avoid intimacy, every time we sabotage our own potential, the shadow whispers, reminding us that there is a part of us untouched by denial, waiting to be integrated. To understand emotional wounds, one must see their patterns. They are not random. They follow the mind's logic, which is rooted in survival. The human brain evolved to protect the body and the self, but it is imperfect in navigating the complexities of modern life. When we are hurt, rejected, or abandoned, the mind records these moments not as isolated events, but as warnings. Do not trust. Do not show vulnerability. Do not expose yourself. Over time, these warnings become unconscious scripts, guiding behavior without conscious awareness. A fleeting hesitation, a sudden withdrawal, a sharp emotional reaction, all can be traced back to these unhealed moments. Philosophically, suffering has always been central to the human experience. Nietzsche's insight, that life's greatest trials are also its greatest teachers, resonates deeply here. Yet his teaching is often misunderstood. Suffering is not ennobling in and of itself. It becomes meaningful when met consciously, when one allows it to illuminate the hidden structures of the self. Pain, ignored, becomes repetitive and oppressive. Pain faced, reflected upon, and understood becomes an instrument of transformation. Here lies the essential paradox. Strength does not arise from the absence of pain, but from the ability to move through it with awareness. Viktor Frankl, in his Reflections from the Darkest of Circumstances, illuminated a further dimension. Meaning is not given. It is created through the choices we make in response to suffering. Emotional wounds are, in this sense, invitations. They force us to confront questions we might otherwise ignore. What do I truly value? Where have I betrayed myself in the pursuit of approval? What fears have governed my life without my knowing? Frankl's existential insight emphasizes that healing is not merely about comfort or avoidance. It is about encountering pain with intentionality, allowing it to point the way toward authentic living. Psychologically, wounds manifest in the patterns of everyday life. They appear as repeated relationship struggles, cycles of self-sabotage, or feelings of emptiness that cannot be remedied by external achievement. The mind seeks solutions in external circumstances. If only I were recognized, loved, or successful, then I would be whole. Yet these pursuits often amplify the wound, because the source of healing lies inward. Inner strength is not found in validation from the outside world. It emerges from the careful attention and compassion directed toward oneself. Consider a cinematic metaphor, a forest at dawn, shrouded in mist. The path is unclear, hidden beneath fog. Walking blindly is dangerous, for roots and rocks lie unseen. Yet as the sun rises, beams of light pierce the mist, revealing obstacles, contours, and the true nature of the path. Emotional understanding works similarly. By bringing conscious awareness to patterns of thought and behavior, the mind illuminates what was once obscured. Recognition does not immediately remove the pain, but it allows you to navigate life with intention rather than reactivity. Integration, Jung would argue, is the antidote to fragmentation. To integrate a wound is not to erase it. It is to recognize it, to listen to what it has to teach, and to allow it to inform your choices without controlling them. The process is neither quick nor linear. Resistance is natural, for the mind fears exposure. Yet every act of conscious engagement with the shadow diminishes its silent grip. Slowly, the river beneath the frozen surface begins to flow more openly, its energy transforming from hidden force into visible strength. The contrast between internal and external realities is critical to this exploration. Externally, you may present calm, competence, and composure. Internally, a network of unprocessed experiences may still influence reactions, thoughts, and emotional stability. A single trigger, a tone of voice, a glance, a memory, can revive layers of unresolved pain. Recognizing this duality is essential. The aim is not perfection. The aim is coherence, the alignment of inner truth with outward expression. This alignment, once achieved, fosters resilience without suppression, presence without avoidance. Cinematically, imagine the mind as a vast landscape of mountains and valleys. The wounds are deep valleys carved over decades, sometimes hidden by dense forest. From a distance, the terrain may seem inhospitable. Yet by descending into the valley, navigating its contours and learning its structure, one gains perspective and strength impossible from the peaks alone. Emotional wounds, faced and understood, function similarly. They are not obstacles to strength. They are its foundation. Healing begins with awareness, but cannot stop there. Awareness without action risks stagnation, a bitter familiarity with suffering that does not transform. Awareness paired with courage, reflection, and intentional choice becomes transformative. The first step is noticing patterns without judgment. The next step is listening to the story your wounds tell, the fear, the hope, the longing. Finally, action arises naturally. Setting boundaries, cultivating self-compassion, engaging in reflective practices, or seeking guidance. This is the core truth. To heal without losing inner strength, one must acknowledge the duality of pain. Emotional wounds are not failures. They are invitations. They are maps that trace the contours of the self, revealing the hidden terrain of resilience, wisdom, and authenticity. By confronting them, you begin a journey not away from suffering, but through it. And so, with this awareness, the path forward becomes clear. The mind, once a labyrinth of concealed pain, starts to feel navigable. Patterns, once unconscious, begin to emerge into consciousness. The storm within can finally be seen, understood, and met with courage. The journey is not easy, yet it is necessary. Because only by understanding the true nature of emotional wounds can one prepare to heal, without surrendering the strength that defines the human spirit. Understanding the river beneath the ice is the first step toward learning to navigate its currents. Healing is not a single moment of revelation. It is a series of conscious encounters with yourself, with the shadows you have long avoided. It begins quietly, almost imperceptibly, with a decision to feel without fleeing, to witness without judgment, and to allow yourself the courage to be present with discomfort. Emotional wounds do not vanish when you face them. They demand attention. And yet, paradoxically, the act of attention diminishes their power. Strength emerges not from suppressing vulnerability, but from navigating it consciously. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, turbulent ocean. Waves crash and retreat, some towering, some subtle, but all insist on being noticed. You could retreat to the shore, pretend the ocean is someone else's problem, and try to build walls to keep it at bay. Or you could step in, feel the cold pull of the water, understand its rhythm, and learn to move with its flow. Healing emotional wounds mirrors this oceanic encounter. Each wave represents a memory, a fear, a pattern demanding attention. The instinct to resist is strong, yet true strength arises when you do not resist, but engage thoughtfully and deliberately. Carl Jung teaches that integration is essential. To integrate a wound is to acknowledge its presence, understand its origins, and incorporate its lessons into the broader tapestry of your life. Integration does not mean being passive. It means allowing the shadow to inform your choices, to guide you toward self-awareness, and to reveal the parts of yourself that have been denied. Every fear faced, every memory examined, every unhealed pain consciously observed becomes a thread in the fabric of resilience. This is the alchemy of transformation, turning the raw, painful material of emotional wounds into wisdom and strength. Practical engagement is a cornerstone of this process. Reflection alone is insufficient. The mind requires intentional action to solidify understanding. Journaling, meditation, and mindful observation become tools of transformation. Through writing, you can trace the contours of recurring patterns, noting the triggers, the reactions, and the underlying narratives. Meditation allows you to sit with discomfort without being consumed by it, cultivating the awareness necessary to witness the self with compassion. Boundaries, both internal and external, ensure that the energy you expend supports growth rather than reinforcing old wounds. These are not simple exercises, they are acts of courage. Consider the cinematic rhythm of this stage. Short, sharp sentences echo the piercing clarity of insight. You do not have to fight what you feel. You have to meet it. Long, flowing passages mirror the unfolding understanding that pain can coexist with strength. Pauses in the narrative allow the viewer, or yourself, to absorb the magnitude of these truths. The cinematic mindscape is one of storms gradually giving way to light, shadows retreating as awareness spreads, and the self emerging not unscathed, but unbroken. Viktor Frankl's existential philosophy offers further guidance. He emphasizes that meaning is not something discovered passively. It is chosen through engagement with life, even amidst suffering. When confronted with emotional wounds, the decision to face them, learn from them, and act intentionally is itself a creation of meaning. Each step toward awareness transforms pain from a source of despair into a foundation for authenticity. The wounds once feared now become teachers. The paradox of strength lies here. The more fully you acknowledge your vulnerability, the more resilient you become. Strength is not measured by the absence of pain, but by the capacity to meet it without being controlled by it. It is present in the silence after a difficult memory is faced, in the calm that follows emotional turbulence, in the ability to engage with life fully despite knowing that wounds remain. Strength and vulnerability are not opposites, they are complementary. One cannot exist without the other if the goal is genuine resilience. Cinematically, imagine the inner landscape as a mountain range shrouded in mist. Each wound is a hidden valley, initially intimidating, seemingly impassable. By choosing to descend into these valleys, to explore their depths, and to witness what resides there, the landscape becomes familiar. The valleys reveal resources, empathy, insight, patience, and courage. The mountains that once seemed insurmountable are now routes of exploration. Strength grows not from conquering the terrain, but from moving consciously through it, learning its nuances, and allowing its contours to shape your understanding. The transformation is not instantaneous. There are moments of resistance, of relapse, of doubt. These moments are not failure. They are integral to the process. Every time old patterns arise, you are presented with an opportunity to practice conscious engagement. Every time discomfort arises, it is an invitation to witness rather than react. This is the subtle rhythm of healing. Noticing, reflecting, choosing, acting. Over time, these small acts accumulate, like drops of water carving a river through stone. Healing, without losing inner strength, requires self-compassion. The mind, when exposed to long-buried pain, can be critical, impatient, or harsh. You must learn to respond to yourself as a guide would, gently, firmly, and with unwavering commitment to your own growth. This is the quiet courage that underpins all transformation. The courage to face fear, the courage to witness pain, and the courage to allow wounds to coexist with vitality and purpose. Finally, the breakthrough arrives not as a dramatic revelation, but as a subtle, enduring sense of alignment. You recognize that your wounds do not define you, they inform you. They are neither chains nor prisons, they are maps, guiding you toward areas of life previously unexplored. You discover that resilience is not something granted externally, nor something inherited. It is cultivated through engagement, reflection, and conscious choice. The inner storm remains, but its force is now channeled, directed, and understood. You are no longer a passive participant in your own suffering. You are an active navigator of your emotional landscape. And so, a new rhythm emerges, one of presence, courage, and integration. Short bursts of awareness punctuate moments of stillness. Waves of reflection meet shores of insight. The once hidden valleys of pain become terrain rich with lessons and resources. Emotional wounds, once feared, are now recognized as essential components of strength. The journey is ongoing, yet the traveler is no longer lost. When you meet your wounds with courage, you do not break, you awaken. You do not weaken, you grow. The storms inside you are not enemies, they are guides, shaping the contours of your inner strength. The journey through your wounds is not a detour from life. It is life itself in its most authentic form. You have faced memories long buried, confronted patterns that shaped your choices, and engaged with the shadows that once held silent dominion over your mind. Now the transformation begins to solidify, not as a dramatic change, but as a quiet, enduring shift. Life remains unpredictable, moments of pain will arise, but you now carry a compass forged from awareness, courage, and insight. Imagine walking through the same crowded street you once navigated, with a sense of heaviness and disconnection. The people are the same, the noises unchanged, yet everything feels subtly different. You are present in a way you were not before. The storm within you has not vanished, but its energy is now yours to direct. Where before you reacted unconsciously, now you pause, observe, and choose. Strength has become the quiet companion to vulnerability, guiding your steps without suppressing your humanity. Integration is the key. Jung's shadow work, Nietzsche's philosophy of resilience, and Frankl's existential search for meaning all converge here. Healing is not a linear process, nor is it a state of perfection. It is a practice, a commitment to live fully while carrying the full spectrum of your emotional experiences. Each wound you acknowledge becomes a lesson, each scar a testament to endurance, and each moment of self-compassion a reinforcement of inner strength. Life's challenges no longer threaten to destabilize you. They become opportunities to exercise the strength cultivated through mindful engagement with your pain. Daily life becomes the canvas upon which this transformation is expressed. Emotional awareness allows you to notice when old patterns surface, a twinge of insecurity, a flash of fear, a familiar impulse to withdraw. Rather than being swept away, you observe, reflect, and respond consciously. You create boundaries that protect your energy, and you engage in practices, writing, meditation, reflection, that reinforce your awareness. Each deliberate act, no matter how small, compounds over time, weaving resilience into the fabric of your daily existence. Cinematically, picture a room at sunrise. The light that once fell in narrow beams now floods the space, revealing textures, imperfections, and beauty alike. This is the inner world after integration. Where darkness once dominated, awareness now illuminates. Shadows remain, as they always will, but their presence no longer signifies danger. Instead, they provide depth, contrast, and perspective. You have learned to navigate your inner landscape with curiosity and courage, seeing your wounds not as liabilities, but as guides that inform the choices you make and the life you create. The paradox of strength and vulnerability is fully realized here. True resilience is not the absence of suffering. It is the mastery of relationship with suffering. The mind, once a labyrinth of hidden triggers, has become a terrain of insight. Emotional wounds, once feared as weaknesses, are now recognized as pathways to wisdom. You understand that life's challenges are inevitable, yet your response is no longer dictated by unconscious fear. Instead, it is informed by awareness, intention, and an intimate understanding of your own emotional architecture. The final reflection is both poetic and timeless. You carry your wounds, not as burdens, but as maps. Each scar points to a lesson learned. Each memory offers a guidepost for conscious living, and each shadow reminds you of the depth and resilience of the human spirit. Life continues, unpredictable and imperfect, yet your inner strength now provides a stable anchor. The journey is ongoing, but the traveler is no longer lost, no longer overwhelmed. Presence, courage, and awareness illuminate each step forward. Your wounds are not chains. They are maps guiding you toward the strength that has always been within. The pain you feared becomes the wisdom you carry. The scars you hid become the bridges to your truest self. Life storms will continue, but you walk not as a victim of them, but as a navigator, awake, aware, and unbroken.